Don't enter 2026 without this morning routine is not just a title. It's a warning, a reminder, and a wake-up call. Because the difference between the people who keep repeating years and the people who transform their lives is not luck, not family background, not opportunity. It's routine. And your morning routine is the foundation of your entire destiny. If you want 2026 to look different, feel different, and reward you differently, then you must begin by changing what you do before the world even wakes up. Every day begins with a battle, and the first hour decides the winner. When you wake up and instantly grab your phone, check messages, scroll through noise, or react to other people's demands, you surrender your power before your feet even touch the ground. But when you begin your morning with intention, discipline, and clarity, you create momentum that carries you through the day. You become the one who commands life, not the one who reacts to it. Start your morning by speaking to yourself before the world speaks to you. Your identity is your engine. When you declare who you are becoming, your mind aligns with the behaviors that produce that result. Say things that reinforce your future, not your fears. Remind yourself that you are disciplined, focused, and capable. When you speak identity, your actions naturally follow. You don't force success, you grow into it. Put your body in motion immediately, not because you're trying to build muscle or lose weight. Those are bonuses. Move because movement activates your mind. Movement wakes up your focus, your confidence, your emotional state. Even 10 minutes of stretching, walking, or simple exercise shifts your energy from sluggish to unstoppable. When your body wakes up, your vision wakes up. Then feed your mind before the world feeds you noise. Read something that elevates your thinking. Listen to something that stretches your belief. Study something that strengthens your skills. Don't let social media, news, or negativity be the first voice you hear. Protect your mental environment like your life depends on it, because it does. The quality of your input determines the quality of your output. Now decide your outcomes for the day. Don't hope the day goes well, shape it. Don't enter the morning with randomness, enter it with intention. Choose 3 things that must get done, not 10, not 23, 3 outcomes that pull you closer to the person you are building. 3 decisions that create progress. 3 commitments that force you to operate at a higher standard. When you know exactly what you're aiming for, distractions lose their power. And before you step into the world, stop and express gratitude. Not the shallow kind where you say, I'm thankful because it sounds good, but deep gratitude that opens your eyes to possibility. Gratitude doesn't make you soft. It sharpens your vision. It reminds you that the life you want is reachable. It awakens the part of you that believes again, hopes again, and fights again. Gratitude creates a mindset that expects progress instead of doubting it. This morning routine is not just a set of habits, it's a daily rebirth. It is how you break old cycles. It is how you protect your destiny from your excuses. It is how you stop living on autopilot and start living with authority. The reason most people never change their life is because they never change their mornings. They keep waking up in the same state, doing the same actions, thinking the same thoughts, and then praying for a new year to save them. A new year doesn't change anything. New habits do. If you enter 2026 with the same mornings you had in 2025, the year will repeat itself. Same struggles, same results, same frustrations. But if you enter 2026 with a transformed morning routine, one filled with clarity, discipline, identity, movement, gratitude, and intentional planning, you will not recognize your life by the end of the year. You will walk differently, think differently, and produce differently. You will attract opportunities you used to chase. You will build momentum that others can't understand. You will step into a future that feels impossible right now, but inevitable once you commit. Don't wait for 2026 to give you a blessing. Become the person who creates one, and it starts tomorrow morning. Winning the first hour is not a small habit. It is a full-scale declaration of who is in control, your distractions or your destiny. The first hour of your morning is the most powerful real estate in your entire day. It decides your pace, your mindset, your energy, and your productivity before the world even knows you're awake. When you win that hour, you're not just getting ahead of your schedule, you're getting ahead of your old self. You're creating a spiritual, mental, and emotional advantage that compounds throughout the day. If you wake up rushed, scattered, or reactive, your whole day follows that same rhythm. your mind stays cluttered, your decisions become sloppy, and your focus becomes fragile. You spend the day responding instead of creating, surviving instead of advancing. But when you wake up with structure and purpose, when you decide before the sun rises that you will operate with intention, everything shifts. You move differently. You think differently. You handle pressure differently because your mind was prepared before the pressure even arrived. Winning the first hour trains your brain that your goals matter more than your impulses. It teaches you that discipline is not something you do when you feel good. It's something you decide when you wake up. It builds self-respect because you prove to yourself every morning that you can do what you said you would do. And that self-respect becomes the fuel for every decision you make for the rest of the day. When you use the first hour to center yourself, to speak life into your identity, to move your body, to feed your mind, or to plan your outcomes, you're designing your life instead of drifting through it. You're setting a standard before the world tries to set one for you. You're choosing creation over chaos. You're choosing direction over confusion. You're choosing power over passivity. That first hour becomes your anchor. Even if the rest of the day becomes unpredictable, stressful, or overwhelming, you've already secured your mindset. You have already won mentally, spiritually, and emotionally before the world had a chance to test you. But if you lose the first hour, if you waste it in bed, on your phone, or in distractions, you hand over your strength before the day even begins. To win the day, you must win the morning. And to win the morning, you must win the first hour. Because when you own that hour, everything else becomes easier, clearer, and more manageable. You stop being reactive and start being intentional. You stop drifting and start directing. And once you learn to consistently win that first hour, you don't just change your day, you change your life. Before you start doing anything in the morning, before the tasks, the responsibilities, the goals, the deadlines, you must speak to who you are becoming. Identity drives behavior, and behavior drives results. Most people wake up and jump straight into activity without ever aligning their mind with their mission. They chase productivity but skip identity, and that's why they burn out, lose focus, or stay stuck in old patterns. You can't live a new life with an old identity. Speaking identity before activity means reminding yourself of the person you are committed to being, not the person your past has trained you to be. Your mouth becomes the steering wheel of your mind. When you speak, you aren't just saying words, you are setting direction. You are establishing the emotional foundation that every action will build on. When you declare, I am disciplined, I am focused, I am committed, I am capable, I am improving daily, you activate the part of your brain that looks for opportunities, behaviors, and decisions that align with those statements. Your identity becomes your internal GPS. Most people wake up and repeat the same activities, which keep producing the same results because they never shift their identity. They start the day as the version of themselves that is tired, stressed, distracted, overwhelmed, or uncertain. But when you speak identity, you override old programming. You silence the voice of doubt, fear, and hesitation. You replace it with clarity, strength, and purpose. You step into the day with intention instead of emotion. This practice transforms your energy. When you declare who you are, your body follows. Your posture changes. Your confidence rises. Your focus sharpens. Your mind stops wandering to failure or past mistakes because your identity statement becomes a mental shield. You stop seeking validation because you've already validated yourself. You stop looking for motivation because identity produces its own momentum. Speaking identity is not pretending, it is preparing. It is aligning your daily actions with your long-term vision. It is deciding that your future has a voice, and that voice is louder than your past. When you speak identity before activity, you don't force discipline, you become disciplined. You don't try to act confident, you step into confidence. You don't push yourself through the day, you lead yourself through it. Activity without identity leads to exhaustion. Activity built on identity leads to transformation. So each morning, before you touch your phone, before you respond to anyone, before you move into the noise of the world, speak over your life. Call out the version of you that can handle challenges, produce results, and build the future you desire. When your identity is clear, your activity becomes powerful. And that is how you start not just a day, but a destiny. Your body is the ignition switch for your mind. When you wake up in the morning, your mental engine is still cold. Your thoughts are slow, your focus is foggy, and your motivation is low. But the moment you move your body, even lightly, you flip the switch that activates your mental power. Physical movement sends signals to your brain that it's time to wake up, time to focus, and time to perform. It shifts your chemistry, your energy, and your emotional state instantly. You don't need a full workout to benefit. You just need motion. Stretching, walking, breathing exercises, simple mobility drills. Anything that wakes up your muscles also wakes up your mindset. Movement increases blood flow, oxygen levels, and neurotransmitters that enhance clarity and boost confidence. It sends a message to your brain, we're not surviving today. We're showing up with strength. Most people try to think themselves into a better mood, a better mindset, or a better level of focus. But the body often leads the mind. When your body is stiff, sluggish, and inactive, your thinking becomes slow, negative, or scattered. But when you start your morning with movement, you put your system into a higher gear. Your mind becomes sharper. Your thoughts become clearer. Your decisions become stronger. You don't just feel awake, you feel alive. Physical movement also resets your emotional state. It breaks patterns of stress, anxiety, and negativity. When you move your body, you shake off the heaviness of yesterday. You interrupt the loop of overthinking. You give yourself a fresh emotional slate for the day. You create the internal momentum necessary to handle challenges, responsibilities, and opportunities with confidence instead of anxiety. Movement builds discipline. When you choose to move, even when you don't feel like it, you prove to yourself that your commitment is stronger than your comfort. That self-respect then carries into every other area of your life. You become more decisive, more consistent, and more focused because you start the day by doing something difficult. The physical challenge becomes mental training. And here's the real power. Movement isn't just about health. It's about identity. When you move first thing in the morning, you're telling yourself, I am someone who takes care of my mind. I am someone who shows up ready. I am someone who prepares, not reacts. That identity becomes the fuel behind every action you take throughout the day. Physical movement is not optional if you want to think like a leader, create like a champion, or operate at a high level. It is the foundation of mental power. When your body is awake, your mind is unstoppable. When your body is energized, your purpose becomes clearer. And when your body is in motion, your life moves forward with it. Your mind is the command center of your entire life. And the first thing you feed it in the morning becomes the filter through which you see the whole day. If the first thing you consume is noise, scrolling through social media, checking messages, reading negativity, or absorbing other people's problems, you surrender your mental space before you even fill it with your own purpose. The world is loud, demanding, and distracting. And if you let it speak to you before you speak to yourself, you lose your power before the day even begins. Feeding your mind before the world feeds you noise means choosing intentional input. It means deciding that your thoughts deserve purity and clarity before they face chaos. It means recognizing that your mental environment is just as important as your physical one. When you start your morning with wisdom, learning, and inspiration, you elevate your standards. You shift your internal state from reactive to proactive, from overwhelmed to focus. Reading a few pages of a powerful book, listening to something that stretches your mindset, studying something that sharpens your skills. These are not small habits. They are investments in your future self. They condition your mind to think higher, see opportunities, and operate from strength. They turn your morning into a personal classroom where you develop the mindset required to win the day. You can't grow your life with a mind that is starved. You can't build a future with thoughts that are unfocused. And you can't elevate your results if your mind is only filled with entertainment, distraction, or fear. When you feed your mind intentionally, you take control of your emotional tone. You reduce anxiety, you increase clarity, you activate creativity, you strengthen your ability to solve problems. You walk into the day mentally prepared, not mentally polluted. You are no longer dragged by the noise of the world, you rise above it. Your decisions become sharper because your thinking is cleaner. Your focus becomes stronger because your mind is not cluttered with meaningless input. The world will always try to fill your mind with noise, but you decide what gets in. You decide what voices shape your day. You decide what direction your thinking takes. And when you choose to start your morning with empowering information, your mind becomes a fortress, not a sponge. You stop absorbing negativity and start producing vision. You stop reacting to life and start shaping it. Your mind is your most valuable asset, and the first minutes of your morning are your greatest opportunity. If you want to think better, act better, and live better, then feed your mind before the world feeds you noise. When you fill your mind with purpose, the world's chaos loses its power. When you strengthen your thinking, your actions naturally rise. And when you protect your mental space, you protect your destiny. Too many people go through life hoping things will work out. They wake up, react to what comes at them, and wonder why their days feel chaotic and unproductive. Hope is not a strategy. Hope is a wish. Planning with intent, however, is action. It is a commitment to design your day, your results, and your life before the world tries to design it for you. When you plan with intent, you don't leave success to chance. You create it with purpose. Intentional planning starts with clarity. You decide what must get done, not what you wish would get done. You identify the critical actions that will move your life forward and commit to them without excuses. It's not about having a long list of tasks. It's about having clear outcomes that produce real progress. You focus on results, not busyness, and you structure your time around the things that actually matter. Planning with intent also trains your mind to operate at a higher level. When you know exactly what your day requires, your decisions become sharper, your focus becomes stronger, and your energy is directed toward creation instead of distraction. You stop reacting to the noise around you and start responding to your own priorities. Every action becomes purposeful. Every step becomes meaningful, and every hour becomes productive. Hope waits for circumstances to align. Intentional planning forces circumstances to align with your discipline. Hope is passive. Planning with intent is active. Hope leaves outcomes to chance. Planning with intent designs outcomes with precision. When you enter your day with clear intentions, you are no longer a passenger. You are the driver of your destiny. The power of planning with intent is compounded when it becomes a daily habit. Every morning, when you decide before the world does what your day will produce, you set yourself apart from everyone else who drifts through life without direction. You create momentum, confidence, and authority over your results. Your day no longer controls you. You control your day. If you want to see transformation in 2026, it will not happen by accident. It will happen because you commit every morning to plan with intent. You will prioritize actions that produce results, take ownership of your time, and build a life where success is inevitable. Hope will never get you there, but intentional, disciplined planning will. Gratitude is often misunderstood. Many people think it's a soft, passive, feel-good exercise. They think it's about being satisfied with what you have, resting in comfort, or settling for less. But real gratitude is a powerful tool that creates vision, fuels action, and expands your possibilities. Gratitude doesn't make you weak. It makes you aware, it makes you disciplined, and it prepares your mind for greater achievement. When you start your morning with gratitude, you are telling your mind and spirit that you are awake to opportunity. You are acknowledging that life has provided resources, lessons, and experiences that you can use to grow. Gratitude shifts your focus from scarcity to abundance. It trains your mind to see possibilities where others see obstacles. It creates a lens through which your challenges become lessons, your setbacks become stepping stones, and your failures become feedback. Gratitude energizes your vision because it forces clarity. When you are grateful for what you have and aware of what is possible, you no longer drift aimlessly. You start to see patterns, connections, and opportunities that were invisible before. You recognize the actions that must be taken and the choices that align with your goals. Gratitude turns your attention from what is lacking to what can be leveraged, from what is uncertain to what is actionable. Most people wait for success to feel gratitude. They believe I'll be grateful when I reach my goal, but that mindset traps you in a cycle of waiting. True power comes when you cultivate gratitude before you have the results. By being grateful now for your ability, your time, your potential, you prepare yourself to receive more, create more, and act with purpose. Gratitude becomes a springboard for vision, not just reflection. Gratitude also strengthens your emotional state. It reduces fear, doubt, and envy. It opens your heart and mind to learning, collaboration, and risk-taking. When you are grateful, you approach challenges with curiosity instead of resistance. You attract solutions, people, and opportunities that align with the mindset you carry. It is no coincidence that the most successful people in the world wake up and start their day by giving thanks. They know that gratitude fuels clarity, focus, and vision. When practiced daily, gratitude is not comfort, it is power. It is the lens that turns ordinary mornings into strategic preparation for extraordinary results. It primes your mind to notice possibilities, to act decisively, and to operate from a state of abundance rather than limitation. Gratitude doesn't make you passive. It makes you alert, focused, and visionary. It doesn't make life easier. It makes life more directed, more intentional, and more rewarding. When you begin your day with gratitude, you are not just appreciating what you have. You are declaring what you are ready to achieve. You are activating your vision, not your excuses. You are creating a foundation for a day, a year, and a life that will reflect the power of seeing opportunity first instead of limitation. That is why gratitude in the morning is not a comfort. It is a strategy for living bigger, thinking higher, and achieving more. As we prepare to enter 2026, remember this: the life you want, the results you desire, and the progress you dream of will not be handed to you. They are created in the quiet, disciplined moments before the world even stirs. Your morning routine is not a set of empty rituals. It is the blueprint for your success, the anchor for your focus, and the launchpad for your destiny. Winning the first hour sets the tone for your day. Speaking your identity before taking action aligns your mind with your mission. Moving your body activates your energy and sharpens your focus. Feeding your mind before the world feeds you noise equips you with clarity, knowledge, and vision. Planning with intent ensures that your day produces results, not just activity. And cultivating gratitude primes your mind to see opportunities, not obstacles, turning every moment into a stepping stone toward greatness. If you take this routine seriously, 2026 will not look like any year you've experienced before. You will enter each day with power, purpose, and momentum. You will operate from intention, not reaction. You will grow in ways that surprise even yourself. But if you neglect these mornings, the year will pass as all the others have, full of effort, but short on results. The choice is yours. Transform your mornings and you transform your life. Don't wait. Start tomorrow. Start today. Because the life you want is waiting for the habits you refuse to delay. 2026 is not just another year. It is your opportunity to rise, to build, and to achieve at a level you've never reached. Enter it prepared. Enter it intentional. Enter it unstoppable.